Hey guys, Dave the Dead here. I was just going to do a quick video with my initial thoughts on Hasbro's Battle of Geonosis theme that they've got for 2026. We've got a Haslab reveal of the gunship. I'll get into that. I won't touch on it too much because there's going to be plenty of videos on the gunship. But I want to talk more about the actual Battle of Geonosis. What you can see in front of you is it's a pretty crude display. there's a Nexu hanging off the top. This isn't my full Geonosis setup. I've actually, because I tend to move my shelves about, move my displays about. I'm focusing more on a Revenge of the Sith display for 2025 for its 20th anniversary. But yeah, with Geonosis becoming more of a theme next year from Hasbro, I'll certainly be building that world out on the shelves over the coming sort of weeks and months. It's an interesting one. Again, the gunship aside, the actual Battle of Geonosis offers us a lot of options in terms of Jedi, the Separatists, the battle droids, super battle droids, droidicars, more and more clones. We've got Geonosians that you can army build with. So the army building potential is huge. For Hasbro, we know that they like to make use of their tooling, reusing tooling, and it makes sense when you've got, clone troopers, stormtroopers, Mandalorians, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, when you factor in Jedi's that will use a variety of bucks, don't get me wrong, but 3 or 4 molds can probably fill out the majority of Jedi for the whole year that they'll have planned. You can see 1 or 2 on screen right now. I think the vintage collection gave us the likes of Fiat Search, who you can see on screen, just on the right hand side behind the Rodian. They're quite hard to get these days. I know Tonguri has had them on his site every now and then. You had the Legacy Collection 2 packs, the Battle of Geonosis. Was it a 4 or 5 pack? About 10 years ago, or probably a bit more than that actually, like Toys R Us exclusives. They've released a lot of Jedi from this battle already, but they're quite hard to get. The secondary market is, for certain figures it just goes crazy, and I think that there's certain Jedi that will be hard to get. One that I've got carded, I've never been able to bring myself to actually open this guy, Pablo Jill, that came from the Legacy Collection Droid Factory wave. That is one. That's probably my top want for a reissue. Again, I'm hoping we get a lot of new tooling, but I'm sure Hasbro will do some reissuing along the way, and Pablo Gil will top my list. One that I think will be in need of an upgrade will be Padme. I do have a loose version of this, but seeing as I've got out some carded figures today, I'll just sort of showing off the carded version of Padme. This is a great line, by the way. I love the Droid Factory line, the build droid element of it. And they did sort of have quite a Attack of the Clones focus. It was supposed to be pretty much the next wave of the vintage collection before it went away, and we were due to get the 3D release, and that didn't happen. And obviously the Disney acquisition came along. And finally, a third figure that I'll just show off for good measure, Sun Fac, which I quite like. The Geonosians in general have had. It's been a mixed bag in terms of sculpts. I think that Sunfac sculpt and Poggle the Lesser is pretty good, but a lot of the sort of drones they're lacking a bit. So I'd like to see like an all new Geonosian sculpt and get us a 4 pack of those in the white boxes. What I might do next year as well is sort of invest in some of those flight stands, like the ones that you get for sort of your Marvel, DC superheroes, anyone that's sort of flying. I think having a few Geonosians sort of flying around the arena would look really cool. You can see in the bottom right hand corner we've got Count Dooku and his speeder. Again, we've got a fairly decent representation of Attack of the Clones in the last sort of year or two with Count Dooku, Jango Fett. It's clear that Hasbro have maybe planted the seeds for Geonosis for a little while. And obviously, the guy in the centre, the Acklay, all 3 beasts they have potential for an upgrade. But if you want to get ahead and get them on the secondary market, they're not hard to get hold of. I think the potential is there for so much. Again, the guy in the centre at the top, Newt Gunray, I'd fully back a Newt Gunray, like a new sculpt for him. It just opens up a lot of possibilities. So many of the Jedi can get a chance to get either a new mold or a re-release. Again, like that Pablo Gil tops my wish list, but if they want to do them from the ground up, great. I would take like a Jedi 4-pack again in those white boxes for some of your generic Jedi. When I say generic Jedi, I think I still want them to be like named characters from the movie. The likes of like Luminara and Dooley, we've seen her released a few times. Shakti is one that I think could get an all new from the ground up sculpt. I think she's well overdue an upgrade. Ayla Sakura has had like a recent reissue on like a Clone Wars card, but it's a much older sculpt. I think the head sculpt looks great. Some of the articulation isn't quite as up to date as we'd like it. I mean, again, if you're watching and you've got like a wish list, please drop it in the comments below. What would you have as your sort of top 3 wants for Geonosis? The possibilities are, they're endless, aren't they? There's a chance for an all new separatist like War Room. A lot of the separatist leaders, they've been done in the past, but again, bring them up to today's modern standards. I'm not trying to, whether the gunship gets backed or not, the Battle of Geonosis is going ahead from Hasbro. So for me, whether I back the gunship or not, the Geonosis thing, that's quite exciting. For me, that's something that I really I think is long overdue. I think the prequels in the Vintage Collection have been underrepresented. We've had a lot for the Clone Wars in more recent years, but again, it's more focused on clones and Mandalorians. There's been few sort of a variety of characters, I guess, and variety of factions. For this, you can get a lot of your main players from the prequels. It's the one scene in the prequel trilogy that features an army on both sides, plus your main characters from both sides. So I don't know what they do for like a playset. If there was, when I say playset, we've had the Streets of Tatooine, we've had the Light Cruiser Hallway, we've had the Navarro Cantina. I wonder what they do for like a sort of maybe like a sort of a street scene. Would they have like those Geonosian walls that you see at the back? Would you have like a modular sort of like a slight curve to them and have like the catacombs? Like, I don't know, but I say the options are there, and I think it is quite exciting to see what they could do. So this is my Geonosis arena. You can see some random Jedi back there, but there are more, and I'll do a full setup in due course. But yeah, like my focus has been on Revenge of the Sith this year. It's not a complete setup, but it's something that I've wanted to pay a bit more attention to, which means like the rest of my prequels have been relegated to just a couple of shelves. But yeah, that will all change next year then with Attack of the Clones. Is it strange timing? I think it is slightly strange timing. I mean, it's great that they are doing one of the battles from the prequels, and it's the battle that makes sense, but it's not an anniversary year for Attack of the Clones. And next year would be an anniversary year for Rogue One, albeit only 10 years, but it's still, for me, a significant enough anniversary to get some new Rogue One stuff out. But yeah, Attack of the Clones, maybe it's time it saw its day in the Vintage Collection. Like in terms of TVC, we've had Jango Fett on these deluxe, in that deluxe box. We've had reissues mainly, more than anything else. So Mace Windu, a reissue of that original 1.0 sculpt. Anakin Padawan, who would be a Geonosis Anakin. I wonder if they would do a new Anakin Skywalker with maybe the green lightsaber or the green and blue lightsabers that he uses in the duel, maybe with the removable limbs as a result of that battle with Dooku. Dooku, again, that's one that we got recently. We've had the Phase 1 Clone Trooper, not just the one done a couple of years ago, but we've got the sort of newer sculpt as well. Sorry, I'm just showing these in front of the camera now, like as best I can. So I fully expect this clone trooper to get done in every guise going, all of the sort of commanders, sergeants, anything, you know, the red, yellow, blue, green sort of paint apps on the sides. Yeah, we'll get more of him. Obviously, the pilot is coming with the gunship. I'll be honest, I don't think the pilot's that bad that we've got, especially if he's just going to be a pilot in a gunship. I don't need all the newest articulation going. The skinny clones for me look fine, and yeah, as far as the pilot goes, I'm not going to be going out of my way to buy the gunship just for that. I will show off my one and only 1.0 release of Attack of the Clones, and it's this terribly beaten up card back for this Super Battle Droid. I'll be honest, I can't remember when I acquired this, but it would have been an absolute bargain given the state of the card. But again, the Super Battle Droid is something that really is maybe due an all new sculpt. And they're kind of more a silver color in Attack of the Clones. I know that they have a lot more of a like a blue tint to them in Revenge of the Sith and what you see in the Clone Wars, etc. But they are kind of silver in Attack of the Clones, just showing off what the wave was back there. Yeah, they did some great figures. Kit Fisto is another one. He's hard to get these days, that version of him. But Attack of the Clones, he didn't look like that, did he? He had those smaller sort of eyes. I actually do like the version that came out in the Legacy Collection. Like this version with the hand and the sort of cheeky grin. It's incredibly dated. But he's my Kit Fisto for Geonosis. My Kit Fisto, my TVC Kit Fisto is generally on my Revenge of the Sith shelf. I need to sort out some of these fallen clones. And yeah, there's the Ahsoka, Ayla Secura that we mentioned earlier. And the lighter skin tone reflects Attack of the Clones more than it does Revenge of the Sith. The Haslab, yeah, they did say we'll be getting Stacey Tin, Asian Kolar, who are back there, if the thing backs, as well as Coleman Trebor. Coleman Trebor is, I mean, he's purposely fallen like this, but even the 2002 sculpt isn't that bad at all. I actually think it's quite good. He did get a reissue. He got an all new sculpt in like the Legacy Collection, which I don't have, which is kind of a harder figure to get. But this one, I think this one looks really good. So again, if the gunship doesn't back, I think we've got a decent Coleman Trebor. I think he's the best looking out of the three that they are going to be doing as stretch goals. Stacey Tin has had many different figures released. I think he's probably the one that most needs an update. And Asian Kolar, again, he got one in the Vintage Collection as well. The Legacy Collection, which probably isn't screen accurate, but again, it is one that we've had in more recent times. We're still going back 15 plus years. First impressions from me on Battle of Geonosis, I'm excited for the project. I want to see what Hasbro are going to do. I want to see ships, I want to see creatures, I want to see more figures and multi-packs. I think the Vintage Collection is going to look really good for prequels in general next year. Whether that gunship backs or gets fully backed, I'm not sure. And whether I back it, again, I'm still on the fence. I'm filming this a couple of days after they've announced it. The price point is the biggest sticking point for me. I won't lie. It's the price point. The ship itself is something that I want. I don't have a gunship in my collection, and they are hard. They're not hard to get, but they are expensive on the secondary market. So whether you want one of the old ones or whether you want the Hasbro one, you're still going to be forking out a lot of money. So I do expect it to back. Maybe not all the tiers, but I say all the tiers aren't that precious to me. And as far as putting these sort of stretch goal figures like Coleman Trebor in, they're going to be carded, which is something that I wholly disagree with for any sort of high item project like a Haslab or a ship. I do not agree with packing figures being carded unless you're going to pack in one carded, one loose. But they wouldn't do that, would they? I'd like to know your thoughts on that. I will probably do a separate video on packing figures in general because it's my #1 bugbear, I think, with the way they handle certain figures. Anyway, that's it from me, Dave of the Dead. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Drop a comment below. What are your thoughts on not just the Haslab, but more in general, the Battle of Geonosis? What are you most excited for? What do you think Hasbro could do over the course of the year? Who are your dream figures? Who do you think is one that might just get away, might just be a little out of reach? I say, let's keep the conversation going below, and I hope that we can revisit this in a month or two once the Haslab has either been backed or not, and the discussion will change from there. If you want to hear more thoughts on the Haslab and Hasbro's recent reveals, myself and Ryan Speaks Geek did a 375 Alive live stream, which will be showing on the screen right now. So go check that out if you haven't already. And again, yeah, thanks for watching. I've been Dave the Dead. See you next time.